you for being here. Jason says hello. Alika, hey Alika, it's good to see you. I know we've had some conversations. There's Kevin. Fantastic. Well, on my side, it's straight up time to get started here around how to sell during a downturn from 4 print leaders who are actually doing it right now. And joining me, as you can see here on the screen, are Sheri Robertson, Ira Bowman, Bill Gillespie, and Bill Duerr. I'm going to give them a chance to introduce themselves here just briefly, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit more about today's presentation. So why don't you go ahead, starting with Sheri, just give us a little background on yourself, and then we'll move to Ira.
Sure. So my background is actually not in print. My background is in marketing. I came into print by accident, and now I work for a grand format shop. I've been there for just over 12 years. When I started, we were a picture framing shop, and everything we do now, I built myself. So I can run every press in our building. I know everything about them, and I am probably the biggest print nerd you're going to meet. And to see you guys making faces like you think it's you, but I promise it's me.
That's awesome, Sheri. I love your energy. I love your enthusiasm. And we'll move over to Ira now. Hey, Ira, how are you?
I'm good. I want to compete for that print nerd title. I actually use that all the time. So if you don't know me, my name's Ira Bowman. I work for ARC. It's the, I think, the greatest print company in the world. So I'm happy to work for them. I've been doing this for 20 years. I've been an outside sales rep. I've been a sales manager. I've been a director of sales. I've worked in a few different capacities all over the country. I come from the reprographics world. So plotters. Right, I've been selling plotters for 20 years, but we also do large format printing. We do traditional printing. So ARC is unique in that it has copy centers, print shops, and it also manages equipment fleet. So we do both internal and external prints.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Ira, for being here today with us. And on to the 2 Bills. Let's go with Bill Gillespie first. Bill, thanks for being here. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm happy to be here. I'm the token senior citizen, so unless it happens to be Joe Manis, I'm pretty sure I'm the oldest guy queued up right now. But I got in the printing business in 1975. I'm currently with Bennet Graphics in Atlanta, which is a real internationally recognized technology leader, just a great company with a lot of creative solutions, and having a lot of fun here at the last stretch of my career. So.
Wonderful. Thank you for being here. We really appreciate it. And last but not least, Bill Duerr, how are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me. Happy to be here with all these other print nerds. So I'm from Hatteras in Tinton Falls, New Jersey. We're down the Jersey Shore. So, you know, typically a big weekend here for Memorial Day weekend. So I hope everybody who's coming to this area just keeps it safe and does the right thing. And you know, my role in the company, I'm the president. It's a family business. I've been around it my whole life. I got a business card that says infant, and most recently it says president. I've been here full time for 11 years, and my job's to keep our people motivated and working and connect our operations with the needs of the marketplace. So awesome to be here talking with everybody today.
Wonderful, folks. And for those of you who just joined, you haven't missed anything yet. We just did a brief introduction of your panel today. And as you can see, there's a diversity of demographics within this panel here. I handpicked each of you to speak with the audience today because you all bring a unique angle to the conversation. Ira, for example, really heavily utilizes LinkedIn, as does Bill Gillespie and the others here. But Ira brings some insight from that perspective that I think you're all going to find valuable. Bill Gillespie, with a wider view on the print market, having been in the industry for a while, I think is a fascinating person to have on the panel. He also uses LinkedIn and social uniquely in a way that I think a lot of you are going to find value in. Bill Duerr, I think you look about half my age, so it's really cool to see the other side of the spectrum. It's great to have young people, I think, coming into this industry, excited and passionate, like you, Sheri. And so we're just excited that you're all here. Thank you for your time. Now what I want to know from you in the audience, go over to the chat, and 2 things. Where are you hearing us from? Where are you dialed in from right now? Number 1. And 2, where did you hear about today's event? So did you hear about it through an email, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, you know, Ira, Joe Manos? Where did you hear about today's event? I want to see that starting to pour in here. I'm seeing people from all over the world, which is exciting, all over North America. We're hearing people from LinkedIn, Calabasas, Boston, Alberta, Anaheim, California, Austin, Texas. Wow, she's pouring in too quick. I can't even see all of them coming in. So today I'm joined on my side here. Keep that coming, folks. It's really cool to see. By Joe Manos. So I want to turn it over to Joe. Introduce us as your moderators today.
Yeah, so I'm not seeing the slides. Are you showing them, Dave?
Should be. If not, I will. Thank you, Joe. Go ahead, Joe.
Okay, fantastic. So hello, everyone. I'm Joe Manis, Executive Vice President of our Customer Success group, and really excited to be here. Dave, you may not remember this, but today, the 22nd of May, is my 14th year anniversary at Mindfire.
Amazing.
So we're now starting the 15th year that we've been partnering together.
Amazing.
Dave, and with me is Dave Rosendahl. He's our president, one of the co-founders, and now I'm second to Dave and Mo, the oldest employee at Mindfire, both figuratively and number of years. So we're excited to have you guys here. We've got an unbelievable panel, and you're going to walk away from today's event with some amazing, I repeat, some amazing information. So glad to be here.
Thank you, Joe. It's going to be a lot of fun. So folks, just in case this is the first time you've bumped into Mindfire, I want to make sure that you know who we are and that we set the foundation for kind of the vantage point that Joe and I are bringing to this conversation. So we've had the honor of working with thousands of commercial print organizations, graphic arts companies over the years, a lot of work with 2D printers, and increasingly in the past couple of months, more and more 3D printers as well. So there's probably a few 3D print folks here in the audience, especially with COVID and what's happened recently. That's becoming an increasingly interesting sector for Mindfire here. At our heart, we are a software company, but we believe heavily in helping educate the market, bringing value to you in sessions like this, which is why we're doing today's event. So from a very high level, as I said, Mindfire is a software company. We have a omni-channel communication platform, as well as an in-house agency that helps our customers use our omni-channel communication to drive leads and grow sales. And so it's from that vantage point that many of you here are gathered today. We work with, like I said, numerous service providers, which could be agencies, print organizations, like the many names that I see pouring in here. And we help you service brands like those you see here on the screen. And we also work directly with those organizations as well in some cases. So it's an honor to be here with you. If this is the first time that we've met, again, this is Dave Rosendahl. Joe Manos is also going to be moderating with me the panel today. And as we looked at everything that was pouring in from you in terms of the interest in your attendance in the panel today, it was really quite amazing. Joe, I think you have this word cloud here.
Yeah, so if you're not familiar with word cloud, it's really awesome. It takes all the awesome questions you all ask, puts it in a map there, and you can see your question there if you look real close. And but because we wouldn't have time to answer all of the awesome questions, and we do a lot of these, I was really, really impressed with your questions. We go to the next slide, we'll show you how we distilled it down to the top 6. So it doesn't come any surprise. We've done 5 or 6 of these over the last couple, 6, 7 weeks, and everybody's asking. The number one question is, how do I survive? How do I sell in this COVID environment? And so 35% of your questions were there. The second greatest area was marketing use cases, focus, how to, what do I do? A tie for that was, what new technology solutions and offerings are your customers bringing to market? What works? What should I be doing? The fourth area was print buying dynamics and changes. Who's buying what? What kind of shrinkage have you seen? 7.5%. The fifth area, emerging industries and vertical market opportunities. What are you seeing? 6% of your questions were there. And finally, the direct mail impact and use cases that are still making money in this COVID environment. So we distilled it down to those 6 areas. And like I said, we had hundreds of questions beyond that. So we've got some great insight in those 6 food groups.
Yeah, I mean, you can see here, Joe had to rifle through, I mean, just pages and pages of questions. We appreciate all of those that you sent in, folks. And because we're not going to be able to get everything today, I want to make sure that you have a resource to continue to communicate with the wonderful panel, as well as each other through this important time. So Jessica, if you don't mind, there's 2 things I want to make sure you do in order to continue this conversation, folks. First, connect with me on LinkedIn. Jessica's going to put that here in the chat for everybody. Go there and connect so you can be notified of other events that we do like this. And then second, we have a LinkedIn group, which you can see here on the screen, which is your group. This is for commercial printers, marketing executives, folks in leadership within the communications industry, to help you make connections with the companies that need your services, as well as help you engage one another to continue driving this industry forward. So I want to make sure you're a part of that group. Everybody here on the call, all of the panelists today are members of that group. And so that's going to be a good place to hang out and continue to get your questions answered. All right. With that, let's jump into the first question. Again, these are actual questions that you submitted. They represent, as Joe said, the kind of the bucket of just dozens and hundreds of questions that are tied to that theme. So we've left them pretty much exactly as you submitted them. We fixed up a few grammatical errors and such, but other than that, these are directly from you folks. So the first question that I'm going to throw out here, this is a question that we saw numerous examples of. How are you handling not being able to get a client on the phone with everyone working from home, everyone teleworking? And so first, I think I'm going to throw this over to you, Sheri. Give us your perspective.
Sure. So I read this question 3 times to decide whether people wanted to know how I'm connecting with my existing customers, which I feel like we're all probably kind of doing the same stuff, right? We're all Zooming, we're all using email. I'm sure some people are texting. I mean, honestly, I have Snapchat, WhatsApp, and like 13 other apps that my customers use. But the more I thought about it, I was like, what I think you really want to know is how do I get somebody new, right? Because there are people whose business is declining. So here's what I would say. What we're doing, I always tell our lead generator, your job is to be the MacGyver of prospecting. That's my language. That's what I always say to her. And that's what you guys have to do. You have to really think about not what you used to do and not what has worked, but what can work. So like today, right now, if there's anybody on this Zoom who sells print media, go into the participants, look at everyone who's there, and then go to LinkedIn and see if you can find them. Do you have a solution for them? Here's my thing. Don't waste my time if you can't come to me with something that you know I'm going to be able to use. That's, you know, nobody has time. Bill and I were talking actually earlier about how time's so valuable, right? No one has time right now. We're all scrambling. So my suggestion is be really resourceful in how you try to find people and then go to them with some kind of solve. They're going to take the time to listen to you because everybody needs solutions right now.
Absolutely.
How is that for fast?
Absolutely. Bill Duerr, what about you? What are you seeing in your organization in terms of being able to get people since they're all, or most people are working at home?
So I think it's definitely evolved from, you know, where we were 9-10 weeks ago to where we are now. But from the get-go, we ramped up our social media presence. We tried to create a bunch of different engaging content, you know, that gave our sales team an opportunity to just talk to people, pick up the phone and first, you know, lead the conversation. How you doing? How's your family? What's going on with you? And then move the conversation over to needs. What do you need? What are you thinking? Here's some ideas that we have. And just creating kind of engaging content to start a conversation. So it's not just about being a sales call, you know? So, and we've also used direct mail where we've sent direct mail to some influencers, and around Earth Day, we had some of those influencers tell the story of our direct mail piece on some of their social channels. So we're just trying to get creative and tell compelling stories through our social channels to give our team content to utilize in their outreach. And then you got to be a little bit relentless right now. Email, call, Zoom, direct messages. I can't say that I've got Snapchat or WhatsApp working for me, but that's definitely an eye opener, Sheri. So good for you.
Bill, what's an example of one of the influencers?
So we sent it out to Deborah Korn.
Okay.
We sent it out to Trish Witkowski and a couple other people we know who have, you know, gone online and shared our piece. And we had Morgan Sprengel from our team, who's the director of customer success, create a nice video kind of talking about the production notes on our Earth Day mailing as well.
Got it. What about you, Bill G? What's your perspective on what it's like engaging people right now?
It's really hard, you know. I think what the others have said is right. Creativity, but personal. That would be our theme, is to be as creative as we can be, but as personal as we can be. There's some cute anecdotes. We've shipped a pizza to somebody and then had a virtual lunch together. You know, we've shipped a sample to somebody and reviewed a sample together over video, and maybe it's coffee. And, you know, those things don't just show your creative solution, they show your personality too, which, man, that's everything right now. People are lonely too in all of this. They're happy to have a conversation.
So Bill, when you ship that pizza, are you shipping it to their home?
To wherever they are, you know.
Wherever they are? Okay.
It's not a surprise, you know, we have that conversation, we invite them, and it's amazing what a pizza will do. People will agree to meet with you virtually if you're going to send them something to eat. So it doesn't work every time, but it does work.
Fascinating. What about you, Ira?
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. So I've got a few different things, and the answer to this actually has evolved, as Bill, I think, alluded to. What we were doing in the beginning is not where we are now. We've come a long ways. I put this slide together to kind of show you that one of the things I'm doing, and you guys may not be there, but that's why I want to talk about it, is I'm doing in-person visits now. In the beginning, I was very weary. In fact, ARC was early to kind of shut us down and say, hey, now's not the time to focus on hard sell. Now's not the time to be pushing sales. It's more about checking to see how people are and take their temperature. And we don't want to go and visit people because we want to be respectful. We don't want them to assume that, you know, we could put them at risk by showing up unannounced. But now, 9 weeks later, 10 weeks later, whatever it is, you know, I'm finding that the business owners are there and they are open to a conversation in person like never before. You show up with your safety, you know, your N95 mask, and you have some samples like Sheri alluded to with solutions that are real world solutions that they need right now. And they will make time for you right now. So every day, including yesterday, you know, that's what I'm doing. I'm out in the field. Am I using emails and the phone? Of course I am. But I'm one of the only people I know that's beating the street right now. And it's working like, honestly, never before. I always cold call, but the cold call result is like awesome right now. So
is anybody turning you down? Is anyone saying, you know what, just not ready for that yet?
Yeah, the people that aren't excited about it are usually the ones that, you know, if they are open and have been open the whole time, right? So grocery store cold calls are not very effective right now. Medical clinics, not so much. But if you're going to the restaurant owner or, you know, the insurance agent or the property manager, and they have not opened or they're not fully opened yet, you know, I hate to say return to work because a lot of people have been working the whole time, but think return to office, return to their store, return to their job. Those people are excited. So I'm not getting a lot of no's from people who are not open or who are not fully open.
Got it. Very cool. All right. So Joe, let's queue up the next question here.
Yeah, absolutely. So this was way up there, and it's spot on. Is LinkedIn a useful tool in sales? So Bill, why don't you start off and give us your perspective, if you would, please?
Yeah, I think it's a crucial part of the sales kit. It's been, you know, really effective for us in just kind of broadcasting our message, both as a company, and then we've been encouraging our whole team to kind of build their individual brands. You know, we've built our company following by about 1,000 followers in the last 8 weeks. We've really been engaging a lot of people. I think it's just a part of the toolkit, though. Like, I don't want my sales team spending all day on LinkedIn just poking around and messaging people. I also just think it's a good way to identify who to talk to that's out there, and a great way for you to have a presence and to, you know, put your own personal touch on the company that you work for.
Absolutely great. Spot on. Bill Gillespie, how about you? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, we love it. We're very active as a company, but also as individual sales reps with LinkedIn. We share case studies almost exclusively. Occasionally it's a social story, but it's typically case studies.
Yep.
We have invested in some very significant marketing portfolios, idea portfolios that we don't mass mail. We make someone request them. And so we use social media to create inquiries for those. And then you've got an informed call. So we're getting someone requesting, hey, I'd like information about that thing or that service or that technique. We share them. The portfolio is overwhelming when it's received, and it triggers face-to-face visits. Right now, those visits are a little different, but it triggers visits, and it's been very, very big part of growing our business.
I'm so excited to hear that you've invested in that content portfolio, because there was a study late last year that said prospects want to see 3 to 5 pieces of content before they grant sales reps an appointment. So spot on, right on. Ira, I know that you kind of believe in LinkedIn, right?
Sorry, I was actually reading LinkedIn as you were asking me about. Yeah, so LinkedIn is a huge part of what I do. If you'd known me for any time, in fact, most of you probably only know me because of LinkedIn, right? 145,000 people follow me personally on LinkedIn. I actually have some business pages that people follow that are in the tens of thousands as well. So I use LinkedIn a lot. What do I do with it? There's a few things, right? I initially, like most sales reps, I think, got into it to do prospect research and market research. But what I learned along the way is that people want to do business with people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a relationship builder.
Yeah.
You know, you talked about people want to see the brand, and I 100% agree with that. But more than that, your reps need to be present on LinkedIn.
Yep.
And not just pitching. I'm going to give you guys all a tip. You want to grow like I have? 20% or less needs to be about what you do, and 80% needs to be about you as a person and in your life and the market in general. Because again, if they know you, it's a relationship business. If you have a relationship with somebody and you're 5% more, 3% more, they're still going to give you a shot.
Yeah.
David, you got your hand up.
Yeah, I was just going to say that ties to, I know what Bill Gillespie has done often is share about his own life, like the work transition that you did a few years back, right, Bill? And that piece resonated with your audience, with your tribe in a way that was pretty remarkable.
I was not ready for that. So many people anxious about their employment and the success of their career. And I was 60 and suddenly without a job, and I thought I was unhireable. I wrote this little story about how well it turned out. It wasn't even a story, it was just a post, and it's still being viewed. I wasn't prepared for how many people were touched by that anecdote. So.
Yeah, so you've just switched over to this. This is something unique because I have 145,000 followers. LinkedIn agreed to let me broadcast live on LinkedIn, which is common on other platforms, but very few people have that ability here on LinkedIn. So what do I do? Every Tuesday, I actually have this parked right now because of COVID-19, but I do a show and I pick a segment of printing and I educate people on it. You know, I take questions, I deep dive, I give people resources. It's an hour-long show, and it's kind of fun. But this helps to establish me as a print expert, industry expert, or a nerd, as I like to refer to myself. So Sheri and I can go after that title later, I guess. But that's what the show is about. It's a live show, and I use video a lot. I create video a lot because, and we can talk about this strategies reaching out to customers, but pictures, videos, in the absence of meeting people face to face, it creates or helps to create a rapport. And we want to build that rapport however we can.
Awesome.
Bill Duerr, did you want to add anything to here?
I think I led with this one.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm with you.
Okay. Good. And I saw for Ira, I just want to throw this out to you, Ira, since you're leading the pack here in social. There was a question around whether or not you use LinkedIn Navigator. I know that comes up fairly often.
I actually do not have a premium account anymore. I used to have a premium account, but I found it to be a waste of my money, honestly. Mm-hmm. So I've taken that. It's like 70 or 80 bucks a month, right? I mean, it's expensive. So I took those resources because I wasn't getting reimbursed from my company. It's out of my own pocket. I took that money and used it for other things, and I've gotten a better ROI from that. So no, I have a free account.
Excellent.
Hey, Dave.
Right. Yes, sir.
Real quick before you go to the next one, there was a comment made in the questions about you can't do this in New York City. And I would submit to you that many of the strategies and tactics you're hearing from this awesome panel and that we deploy at Mindfire can be done in New York City. You just can't go out face to face yet. But everything else this awesome group is talking about, innovation, content, connections through the different avenues, those are available 10 minutes after this webinar. So don't let that stop you.
Yeah, let me talk to that real quick because I live in LA and I came from San Francisco. And New York and San Francisco and New York and LA, it's the same deal. I get it, right? You're talking about you can't get up the elevator at any of the businesses because you have to have an appointment. That's why I developed my social media. Everything that I did was to chess match that game. So I get it. But once you build your rapport with people on LinkedIn, they see you and you reach out to them. Trust me, when I reach out to somebody and then I have a large LinkedIn network and I ask them to connect with me, they always accept it. I don't get rejected by anybody. I promise you. So if you have a target in New York City that you want to hit, if you build your network up, so when they click on it, go, oh my gosh, this guy's got 30,000 connections and he's reaching out to me. I need to connect with them. Then when you ask for the appointment, you get it. right? So it's not the cold calling part, but that's the long game. And that's why I did it.
Beautiful.
It'll help you in New York City.
I see a lot of questions coming in around LinkedIn. So folks, we'll get to those at the end. We'll make sure to answer your questions. I'm going to take the next one here for the panel. And this came in a variety of different flavors, but in general, the question was the same. Over 91,000, it's probably 92,000, unfortunately, at this point. People have died from COVID, and many of us know someone who has. So how do you avoid the perception that you aren't taking this pandemic seriously? And kind of the common questions centered around this were like, so should I still be calling on people? Should I still be marketing? If I talk about COVID, do I seem to be pandering, to taking advantage of this situation? So there were a lot of you who are interested in this. I'm going to start first with you, Bill Duerr. What's your perspective on this question?
Well, so I think, early on when this all started, we took a bunch of precautionary measures to make our workplace safe and make sure our employees knew that we were taking this really seriously. They were almost questioning some of our measures early on because it hadn't been rolled out on a broader scheme. So we started to take it really seriously at work. And then locally, we identified a need for protective face shields. We saw some other companies kind of springing into action and doing a similar thing. So we put our services right into use. So our team kind of rallied behind that and served a need on a local level and a little bit beyond that. And that led, kind of leading with that goodwill and this big donation, effort that we had with the face shields really led, we led to our customers. We were telling them the story. So it was very apparent to people that we were taking it seriously and leveraging our capabilities to serve a greater need. So that, we kind of put any of those concerns to bed. This is a serious situation, especially here in the New York, New Jersey area. I mean, very serious. So, and I use LinkedIn quite a bit to create some videos, create some content to kind of let people know how we were approaching it, share our story a little bit, connected with a bunch of other printers who were doing the same thing. And, that was definitely right out of the gates, something that we're taking it very seriously from day one. And we made that very apparent to everybody, customers, suppliers, partners. So
yeah, you got a shout out, Bill, in the chat here from Alex, who's a printer as well, and he said, Bill hooked me up to get this done, creating those face shields. So big thanks to Bill and Hatteras. So thank you for leading the way there and doing that. And I'd love to hear from you, Sheri, in terms of your perspective on this question and how you're handling it within your organization.
Sure, kind of similar, because I think that, I know, Bill, you guys have some large format equipment as well. So, large format shops obviously adjust a little bit different than small format shops given this, because we have that equipment. Our shop is unique in that not only do we have large format equipment, but we also do 3D printing and we also do vacuum forming. So in like about 3 hours, we had 1,000 shields done because we were able to back form press them. So for us though, I think that lots of people are doing all of these great things and I think it's amazing, but I think the really smart thing to do is know how to say it in your own voice. And, to Bill's point, they put a lot of content out on LinkedIn, smart, but everyone's saying the same stuff. Like everybody sends out the email that says like, hey, we're doing all the things, we're being really safe. Make sure that what you're doing is you're sending it out in a way that's your truth. It's your story. Make it personal, because I think that's the big difference in the connections. I'm going to ask you to flip to the next slide, just so you guys can kind of see like how we present it. So what we did is we took our whole website, we revamped the homepage, our splash page, we added a whole section to it. We put all the stuff on our LinkedIn, all of our email blasts, everything we put on LinkedIn, all tagged, all the same voice, all the same story. And all of it is the same thing. You'll see it over and over again. You'll see it every time you see me post something. Do good, be well, stay safe. Everything you get from me has the same thing on it. Do good, be well, stay safe. Because that's our voice. That is who we are as a company, not just in this, but in everything. And I think the thing is that this is an opportunity for everybody to step back and say, like, I read the question to this one. You're like, how do you seem like you're, not being harsh that you're selling? That's what you should be doing. We should all be out trying to help each other and say like, hey, I'm here to help you. Like, I will say, on the flip side of it, I read the question, I kind of chuckled because I actually got an email last week and it's probably borderline offensive, I'm going to be honest, but I opened it, right? So that's the thing. I got an email blast and the subject line says, we hope you're doing okay and everyone is still alive. What? Right. And that, like, every one of us made that face. I bet all the people that are sitting there made a face, right? But you know what I did? I probably got 400 emails that were, those types of emails. I opened 4 last week. One of the 4, that one. So I think it's about, if you want to take the chance of saying something that's kind of like, I'm sure those people probably upset some people, but I'm sure they also probably got a really, really high volume of people that opened that email and looked at what the content was. So don't be afraid. And I think, you just have to take that leap and say, like, hey, I'm going to tell the truth. I'm going to tell my story. I'm going to tell it the way that I built my brand. That brand narrative is the most important thing we can focus on right now as companies, as printers, as whoever you are. Your brand narrative is your number one thing to talk about right now, in my opinion.
We can tell you're passionate about that, and that clearly comes through, and you are consistent in how you communicate that message, which is a really important aspect. What about you, Bill G? What are you seeing here, and how do you think about this this very serious situation that we're in?
Well, we wanted everybody to know we were open. We wanted everybody to know we were being responsible. We wanted everyone to know we were available, but we wouldn't be in the way. And so, like everything we do at Bennet Graphics, our communications are very personal. We write like we talk. Our emails, our letters, our outreach, all very, hey, we don't want to offend you by coming to you if that is offensive, but we do want you to know that we're here if you need us. And so everything is very, very, very sensitive, and it's communicated consistently and effectively that way through all of our channels. As you can see on the slide, we created our own statement like everybody has done, and we shared it, and it's connected to our email signature, and it's on our website, it's on our social media, but that's just protocol. The behavior is the thing.
Yep. Fascinating. What about you, Ira?
So ARC is a little bit unique. I think we are a global company, right? So we have locations outside the United States. So they have a corporate global plan, national plan, regional, and down on the local level. So the very first thing that they did, like I think I said, is, they got ahead of this thing and said, hey, we need to be careful on how we are interacting both internally as a staff and externally with our customers. So any non-essential employees were basically who could work from home, like the sales staff, we did that right away. Some of the stores in some of the regions closed down completely, right? And then are reopening now. But things like curbside pickup, I don't know if you guys can see it down in the bottom corner, but we tried to basically have customers call in and let us know when they were there to pick up their orders, so that we didn't have to bring them in, and minimize exposure. Like I said, we were having salespeople do things remotely. So a lot of virtual meetings and emails and phone calls. We also, because we're the print business and we do signage, we have a corporate side, for internal, how we handle it and interact with our customers, but also to help our customers with their COVID-19 plan. One of the things that we're doing up in the top right corner, you can see, is we're doing site surveys for folks. And so we're coming in where needed, and we're getting a copy of their footprint, their blueprint, if you will, of their location. When we're walking with them, we're taking photos, we're helping them figure out the layout. We do this much more than they do, as it turns out. So they're leaning on our expertise with this. So there's that. And then we've made it easy for people who just go, you know what, I know what I want. We've got a virtual, what we call a digital storefront, a DSF, where we make it easy for people to browse through the catalogs and place their own order. We've even created a catalog that's evolving, but it includes a way for them to do their own site survey. We kind of teach them what they need to know and then make it easy for them to keep track, so when they're going through the order, they get enough. So there's multiple parts of this, and it is evolving. One thing I will say about ARC, our VP, who I know is in COVID-19, Frank, I think he's on this somewhere watching, but he has been doing national sales huddles with our teams 2 and 3 times a week and educating us. So some of these questions, like who's buying and how to approach it and what to do, both internally and externally, they've been giving us so much information, which has been, from a sales perspective, a blessing. But I have to go figure this all out myself. We have a lot of corporate direction, and when somebody figures out, hey, this solution, to Sheri's point, like Somi's solution, which I completely agree with. When we figure it out as a company, then the rest of us can go on a local level and go, okay, well, let's attack the property managers. Let's go after the schools. Let's go after the retail. You know what I mean? And we know what to talk about. And a lot of that advantage comes from our size. So,
and to the folks here that maybe don't have those resources or an organization like that, that's another reason why we created this COVID-19 print groups, to help, share these kinds of ideas. Ira, you're blessed in your organization to be able to get those from above, so to speak.
Right.
But that's one of the goals that we have here in doing stuff like this, is being able to share that information with you. Joe, before I throw this back to you for the next question, I just want to go back real quick to something that you said, Bill, here, that I wrote down. We write like we talk. And I just want to underscore that for everybody just for a moment, because certainly from our perspective here within Mindfire, as we've communicated through this pandemic, what we have found is that when we communicate, let's say through email, in a way that's not stiff corporate, blah, blah, blah speak, but is actually engaging at a human level, the response has been incredible. In fact, many of you that are probably here, I know some of you have replied back to me and said, I'm confused. Did you send this just to me? Because it feels like you just wrote it to me. Did you guys send this just to me, or was it to everybody? And in most cases, we're sending it to multiple people, but we're writing it in a way, just as you said, Bill, that resonates at a human level. Anything you want to add about your experience in writing the way you talk?
It just seems natural. If you're disconnected, I'm old enough that when we had to learn to do email, it was a traumatic experience, okay? So
Okay.
having to put what I wanted to say to somebody in an email message versus a voicemail message was a big change. And so I just learned that if I wrote it the way I would say it, they could hear my voice in a message that I wrote. So.
Absolutely. That's beautiful. All right, Joe, well, let me throw it over to you. Let's keep this moving on to question number 4 here.
And before I jump on this question, because it's such an awesome group of contributors, one other coaching tip for all the sales folks out there: when you're reaching out to folks, after so many great suggestions already, but just ask them, by the way, what's your number one problem or need right now? Just so I know. So if I run across anything that we can help with, I want to be able to reach out to you. I'm so shocked at how many people don't wrap up their call with that basic question. So for all the salespeople and business leaders, please add that to your how are you doing? All right. Next question area. What are you doing differently now to generate business during this time other than COVID signage? So this really comes into that area of, what are we doing differently to get new business in? So let's go ahead and start with Sheri there. With some of your thoughts. Fire away.
Before I do that, I'm going to add one thing to what you said, Joe. You said wrap up the stuff about what are you looking for. I say lead with it. So yeah. I actually spent some time like just listening to people's pitches, and I spent an hour with somebody from, I won't mention what printer they sell, but they went through a whole pitch with me, and at no point did they ever ask me what we did or what we needed. And at the end I was like, hey, you should have started with this, because the one thing I was interested in you never talked about, and you had 1 hour and now an hour's over. So I say lead with it. Don't be afraid to ask that up front. Like that's courtesy, because I don't want to waste your time. Now I'm going to answer the question about what we're doing different. So one of the things that's kind of unique for us, and it's funny because in our area where we are in this little tiny town in Bristol, Pennsylvania that y'all never heard of, we're a big fish. But here with all these other printers, we're probably like a little fish, right? So just depends on what pond you're swimming in. But for us, one of the things we've done is we actually went out and we met with some of the print shops, like guys who I never talked to before. There's like 5 or 6 local print shops, and they're making like these yard signs that are like for graduates, and they're making these things that are, like curbside signs and things for one-offs. They're like for the boutique in the town that I live in that has like 12,000 people. I'll be honest with you, I don't want to make that sign. Like that's not my business. That's not what I'm really good at. And that's not what I'm set up for. But I want somebody that when someone calls me, I can say like, hey, who's really great at that? That guy Dave down, in Lambertville. He's awesome at that. You should call that guy. And so we started reaching out to those guys. And I have to tell you, it's crazy. Those guys have sent me so much business because they can't manage it. So all of a sudden we're getting calls from these other print shops who are like, oh, these guys need 300 signs. They can't run 300 signs. They're not set up to run 300 signs. So as crazy as it sounds, make partnerships with people who maybe you wouldn't have thought you should be partners with, right?
Amen.
Like, so, you know, like I'm looking at you guys and I'm like, all I'm doing is listening to what y'all are saying, trying to figure out like, okay, how can I either figure out how to partner with each one of you? And if there's anybody who's listening that's like, oh, you know what, those guys do vac forming, maybe that's something I can use. And here's what I do. Maybe she can use that. Make those connections. Cause honestly, that strategic partnership, it will set you way far, not just today because of this, which I'll be honest is the reason I called those print shops, but in general, it really taught me a lesson that like I probably should have known before now, being in sales as long as I have been. But I say that's the thing, is like be strategic in your partnerships.
Beautiful.
Yep. All right, Bill G, I think you're up next. So fire away. What are you doing differently?
Well, the truth of it is the clients are the most creative people in the world. I mean, everybody is, but if you just encourage them to, I don't know who said it earlier, just what would you do if you could do anything you wanted? We just encourage them to be as creative as they can be. The project you're seeing on the screen here, this is because of a graduation cancellation. So where a graduation program print project didn't happen, this really cool kit did happen. This thing went to the graduates all over the world where they were. It was a keepsake box. It's awesome. And this is just one of a lot of things like this we've seen. And it's fun to watch our own staff, how excited they get about saying, can we make this impossible thing possible? Yeah.
You know, we have a saying at Mindfire, anything's possible as long as you have enough time and money, right?
Yeah, we say it, is it impossible or inconvenient? And that changes a lot of arguments right away, you know. So.
Amen.
This project here, we didn't think this up, the school did. This is this Christian school, and these guys have a senior chapel service. And so they came to us with an idea, and we did these cardboard cutouts of every senior. They were staged in their chapel.
Oh my God.
The fellow went in and they filmed, videoed him presenting to this group. And then it very quickly flipped over to a virtual meeting. And so you can see at the bottom of the screen there, students were logged in from wherever their respective homes were. They did their prayer together. They did their whole service. They had their valedictorian spoke, all of these different things that they were deprived of. And we were just thrilled to be a part of it.
That's so cool. Amazing. Very cool. Well, thank you for sharing that. It's awesome. Hey, Sheri, I saw your hand go up. Did you have a point you want to add to, or?
Oh, no, sorry. Okay. I just got a lot of hand gestures. We should have done something else that couldn't be influenced by my hand gestures.
No worries.
I was like, yes, I agree.
All right, how about Bill Duerr? How about you? What are you guys doing differently?
So I think the next question covers a lot of this, but kind of in line with what Sheri was saying, I've made a lot of connections that I traditionally wouldn't have made inside our industry and outside our industry. I've done a lot to lean on our supplier base. Early on, we hooked up with Gilman Brothers. They had some innovative products that they were offering in response to the pandemic, and we got into making some temporary bed frames and partitions with them. I've leaned on our supplier GPA pretty hard to come up with some innovative ideas there. Gary Miller and Craig Surrett and Mike McConville, those guys over there have been a tremendous help during this process. But just, leaning on everyone's, leaning on everybody you can. I've connected with a ton of people that I just would have never expected to connect with, and our traditional partners that we rely on. So it's just been, a lot of networking, a lot of phone calls, a lot of conversations, and a lot of brainstorming and just trying to solve problems together. And I think those relationships are gonna really benefit us all in the long run as things evolve here.
Yeah, it's actually, out of adversity comes opportunity. And I know Dave and I have been blown away at what we've seen coming from our customers and even our non-customers, just some really innovative solutions for the times. All right, Ira, do you have something to add in 45 seconds or less?
Sure, I can even go less. So one of the things I want to reiterate is if you have the ability, don't forget to reincorporate in-person visits. You need to be mindful, of course.
Yeah.
Wear a mask, be safe. Don't try and shake hands. It's awkward, I know. But the in-person visits is helping me get over the hump right now, right? So we're going to talk about percentages in a second. But right now, I'm adding some new business to replace the attrition because
Yeah.
I'm making in-person visits. So
That's amazing to me, Ira, that you're in LA and, you know, one of the worst areas in California, and that you're able to do that. There's got to be a picture in this deck somewhere where you're suited up with a hazmat outfit walking into those calls, right?
yeah, so I actually have a variety of masks. I've got N95 masks coming out of my ears now. You got to wear them. You got to have them, right? So, but I'm making traditional cold calls right now to targeted people. So
Love that. Love that. Great answers, folks. I want to make sure you're getting value out of this. Go over to the chat, drop a yes if you're getting value from the Bills, from Sheri and Ira. I want to make sure you're alive and engaged. Go drop yeses in the chat there. We want to see those pouring in. I'm going to move over to the next question here, one that we certainly saw quite a bit of. And I'm going to start by directing this to you, Bill Duerr, and then we'll go down the line here. What innovative services and products have you implemented or added to best navigate and maintain sales? So people were really interested in what else are you doing that's generating revenue that maybe you weren't doing before?
Yeah, so we've made a couple pivots here, like a lot of the other people on the call. I mean, face shields were kind of the first thing we went to, and originally it was just to serve a need of the local community. And then we've continued to evolve and make different iterations of the product, and that's led to some new, revenue generating opportunities coming through the door. It's actually allowed us to create some jobs to meet some of the demands. So that's been really amazing. We've gotten into partitions and sneeze guards and helping people create safer work environments. Like Ira mentioned before, we're doing a lot around social distancing graphics and, really working with our customers to ensure they're communicating that their environment is safe to re-enter. And then, hey, once you're in this environment, these graphics are going to help hold you accountable and help make it a comfortable environment. Because I think as things start to reopen here, you're basically going to have one shot. Somebody's going to come in your store. If they feel comfortable, they're probably going to come back. If they feel uncomfortable, you may have lost that customer for a long time. So I really believe that graphics are going to play a huge role in the reopening and the success of big retail businesses, small retail businesses. I think some companies get it. I think others don't. I think as an industry, we need to hit this as a unified front. And we have an opportunity right now as an industry to shape the market and really help companies implement best practices. And we as printers get to lead the way in this. And it's interesting because we as printers get to lead the way in this. We're being leaned on like, hey, what should I do? How should I reopen? What type of signs do I need? It's awesome that Ira's company's kind of figured it out and created some of that. But all of a sudden, because we're promoting our print capabilities, we're looked at as like, well, where's the subject matter expertise when it comes to reopening? And there's no clear-cut guideline from a federal level and even at a state level for the most part. So how is this going to evolve? How can we learn from each other? And how can we kind of create and shape this market so the small businesses can thrive, so the big businesses can thrive, and everybody can benefit and the economy can kind of be reinvigorated by it. So we're solving a very specific problem, but it's a new problem that we all get to solve together. So I think we got to let our guard down a little bit and share some information here because it'll create an opportunity for all of us.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting that you say that. I saw some comments come in around, gee, I wish I was as creative as this group here. I wish I could come up with these kinds of ideas. And folks, that's why we're doing this. That's why we're bringing you this value. That's why we want you to hear this. That's why we've got the LinkedIn group for you. So that you can pick up these ideas and use them within your organization. Everybody who's here with me today believes in sharing and spreading the knowledge. So I just want to encourage anybody who's saying like, gee, I can't be that creative. Pick up on some of these ideas, write them down, take notes, take them back to the shop, the virtual shop, and let's go. All right, so Sheri, speaking of let's go, what about you?
So this is my favorite one because innovation is our #1 thing in our building. So my job at Ace Designs, the reason that I love it there is because my job is to break everything we buy. So every piece of equipment we buy, if the person who sold me the printer, the CNC router, whatever it is, if they don't walk in our building and tell us the machine doesn't do that, we didn't do it right. That's what we do all day, every day. So I noticed one of the questions in the chat was, what are we planning on after this? So originally my answer to this question was going to be very different, but I'm going to speak to that because it looks like Bill Jordanman. What a great question. What are we going to do after this? So I'm going to ask you to flip to the next slide. Yep, we do the same stuff everybody else does. We're doing all those same things, right? We're trying to make them a little more fun. Like, I'm a big bourbon drinker. If you ever see, I'm always talking about bourbon because I love bourbon whiskey. So, 2 barrels apart, way more fun than 6 feet apart, right? I want to be 2 barrels from someone because that feels more homely to me. But I think that the question, just circling back to it about what are we going to do after this? I mean, the hope is that we're going to keep doing what we're doing now, which is you have to be fluid enough to understand what the market needs. So if the market needs me to keep being in social distancing, I'm going to keep being in social distancing. If the market wants me to forget all about social distancing because we want to go back to, like, I won't even say go back, we want to go into a better place than we were in, and we want to talk about community, then we're going to pitch community. I think the thing about innovation is we have to really focus on what makes sense in that moment. We're never going to go back to the business that we ever were. That's reality. I'm sorry, I break that to everyone, but that's the hard reality. We're never going to be who we were ever again. It's like a broken plate. You can drop the plate on the floor, you can pick it up, you can glue it back together. You have a plate, but all the cracks are still in the plate. We're still going to be that. Now we can take that plate, we can refinish it, and we can make it really, really pretty, and we can make it even better than it was with the cracks still under it. So I think, what are we going to do after this? We're going to have to all be really aware of what is the buyer buying, what is the environment, and we're all going to have to be hyper flexible. If you're not hyper flexible, you're not going to make it. I don't remember, I think it was maybe Bill Duerr said about, Deborah Korn. I listen to her all the time. I love her. She made a comment on a webinar a couple weeks ago, and the thing she said is there are going to be winners and losers that come out of this. Be a winner. And that really, for me, resonated with me. I literally stopped everything I was doing, and I was like, we're gonna pivot again. Everything that we were working on our website, we trashed. We started over completely because of that. Because if I focus everything on all this social distancing and all this stuff, when no one wants it anymore, how much time did I spend on that and waste on that when I should have been talking about what's after? So I think that's a great question. I hope I didn't talk too long.
No, you're getting a lot of kudos for that. Thank you, Sheri, for that. That's wonderful. What about you, Bill G? How are you looking at this?
Well, I think everybody's still trying to figure it out, of course. Our packaging segment has been really valuable to us during this time. I said that in the slide, and I have to say that now. We've been very thankful for that segment of revenue, because it has been, while it's different, it hasn't been as impacted as some of the other areas have. So that area has stayed very, very strong. And that's had a lot to do with our strengths.
And you have this example here on the screen. Does this exemplify something that you're doing or demonstrate some service that you're providing?
It's actually a little bit of an older photograph. It's a get out and vote photo from an election or two ago, but it's one I had available when I realized we needed to share images. So any of it, labels and folding cartons. We invested in that area a few years ago, and it has been our fastest growth segment. It's still small compared to our overall portfolio, but it is the fastest growing portion, and it's been very valuable during this time. Those products have still got to be there on the shelf for you. So it's not invulnerable, but it is more stable than commercial print.
What about you, Ira? I know that your organization is innovative. What kinds of solutions are you seeing here?
Well, I've got a picture here. This is a digital storefront. This is something that we have been doing before COVID-19, but I think it's become quite more apparent for people. Usually when people have digital storefronts, it's because they have multiple locations across the nation or the world even, and they want to have brand consistency. So in the products, for example, if you use 3 different printers, they might use different print equipment, have different print setups. And so, you lose your brand consistency. What digital storefront allows people to do is to use a variety of printers in multiple locations and still get the same results. So that's one thing. We've done it obviously with our catalog and moving into the COVID-19 so that people, even if they're all working from the same location, but now they're at home, they can order their materials, their marketing materials, across the board. the graduate signs, as you flip to this, is something that we did for a period. It's pretty much wrapped its life now. But, you know, back in April, this was really, really hot. You know, graduations, high school graduations, kindergarten graduations. Look, my daughter's graduating kindergarten right now. I mean, you know, I have a senior graduating from high school in a couple days too. So, you know, graduations, you know, lawn signs, something to celebrate, you know, banners for over the garage. I mean, this was a big thing, and it was something that we really had never done in mass before, but it was fit a need. There was a unique opportunity because of the COVID-19 self-isolation. But I want to talk about what Sheri was talking about too, right? Like Albert Einstein said it, the true sign of intelligence is not knowledge, but imagination. If you think that you're going to continue to do things the way you did them before, you might want to reconsider that. And here's what I mean. The world has changed. It's not that, you know, printing process is going to change per se, right? We're going to use the same equipment and it's going to be pretty much the same people, but the way people buy it, the way we sell it, those types of things, the way we encounter our clientele, I guarantee you those things are going to change. And some of the stuff that we've done now, any business, you might not have thought that you could run your business remotely, have a remote workforce, but guess what? A lot of us figured that out pretty darn fast.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like I'm an outside door-to-door sales rep. And yes, I am back out making door-to-door calls in person. And I'm thankful for that. Trust me, I tell my boss every day, I'm so glad I can go out and make calls again. But the fact is, I'm still making a lot of calls from home. I haven't been to my shop in a week. You know what I mean? Like things have changed and things will be different. The paradigm has changed. So adaptability is definitely something that you guys should be thinking about. What comes next? You should be thinking 2 or 3 steps ahead. How are you going to approach people in December? How are you going to approach people next year? You know, I'll tell you one thing for ARC for sure. We are known as the largest reprographics company in the world. We're a blueprint company if you don't know what reprographics is, right? But it's made us get outside of the box and call on different markets, vertical markets, and we're creating new relationships with new companies. And I don't think that that's going to go away just because COVID-19 is over and they don't need safety signs anymore. We've developed relationships. We're going to pursue them moving forward and forever forward.
So Joe, you and I as the moderators here, our job was to bring everybody home around the hour mark, and it looks like we have dropped the ball on that. I'll take that on me, but I want to know from the audience, do you want us to keep going? If you do, drop an X in the chat. If you want us to keep going, we still have more questions here. I want to make sure that you're all engaged and that this is providing value to you. So let me see those X's coming in. Give us a little juice and energy here. I'm going to throw it back over to you, Joe, for the next question, and let's see those X's coming in.
Well, first of all, I don't want to say I told you so, but with this getting good panel, I knew it was going to be a problem. But, you know, this is the type of problems we'd like to have. I think people have the time to invest in their future, and that's what we're doing here today.
Let's keep going.
The panel's on fire. So and one coaching tip for everybody that's attending today, every one of your customers is looking for the secret sauce. They want to be able to walk into, I should say, they want you, when you show up on their doorstep, to have some of those answers on how you can help them get re-engaged with their customers. Everything our awesome panel is talking about. Okay, next question. I've seen 99% of the printers start the PPE portion of their business. How much traditional product selling are you doing at the moment? And that was there were a lot of questions with that. So Sheri, let's start off with you. How about traditional product solutions for your customer? Because you're not a traditional gal.
We are not. So it's so funny because I read that and I was like, traditional. I don't even know what that means because we've never built the same thing twice in the 12 years I've worked there. But, you know, I'll answer to non-PPE. So yeah, you know, we are definitely doing some of that stuff. We are not pushing it as hard. If our customers are coming to us and they're asking us for that, then we're definitely going to help them out. But it's not a product line that we're really trying to promote and we are chasing. We're kind of doing the opposite. We're saying we want to figure out how do we get you the stuff that you need for when you're open and you want to sell stuff and you want to make the product that you sell look awesome so that when people are in the store, they buy it from you, right? Nice. So I want to make sure that whatever window display or whatever window graphic or whatever POP display I'm building for you, that's the thing that the person remembers, not a giant sign that says, don't stand near anyone.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that person, mostly because I don't want to be that person. I'm a shopper. I love to be in stores. I do what I do because I truly love it. I know the brands I work with. They know that I know because I'm in their stores. I'm in their locations. I know them very, very well. So I think that for us, it's really about like, are we doing it? Yeah. How much of my business? I don't know, 15% maybe right now we're seeing is probably in that, in that world. What do we think it's going to be in 30 days, in 60 days? Probably more. As more retailers open, we're going to be making more of it, but we're trying not to focus too much on it because honestly, it's the same thing. How many people are out there pushing all this thing? I don't know if you guys use these guys, but Layered Plastics is doing an amazing job. And literally they own like 37 different brands. And in my LinkedIn feed, it's like Layered Plastics, Layered Plastics, Layered Plastics, Layered Plastics, screen. They're doing a killer job at it. I don't need to do that too. They're on it, if anything, my customer's going to come and be like, hey, I saw these guys at Layered Plastics made this. Can you make this for me? And then we're going to be like, yeah, we could do that.
Beautiful. Awesome. All right. What about you?
Okay, so kind of like Sheri in a sense. I mean, we don't have one category. I mean, we are the largest reprographics company in the world, but I mean, we do signs for construction sites all day, every day. We do the copy of booklets and blueprints all day, every day. And we have a fleet, an equipment fleet out there. So, a lot of what you're seeing on the screen here, these are graphics that it's just an extension of what we were already doing. But if I had to kind of categorize it, first of all, you just have to know that every location, and there's 170 brick and mortar locations inside the United States at ARC, every one of them is going to have a little bit different answer. I know a location, for example, in Hawaii, that's over 200% of its normal sales for last month, like year over year. They've done over 200%, and we have other shops that are, like 50%. So it would depend location by location. But I think as a company, if you said, well, what is the percentage of your business, traditional business, that is non-PPE or non-COVID related? I think it's about 50%, maybe 40%, something like that. We have been blessed by the PPE and the COVID-19 signage. It's really saved our bacon. And to be honest, it saved a lot of our customers' bacon too. I mean, we're all in this together. And I'm not embarrassed about that. I think that's a wonderful thing. Like I said, it's opened a lot of new doors for us, and we've created a lot of new relationships in the last 3 months that we would have probably never developed otherwise. So yeah, COVID-19 has been awful. 92,000, however many people have died. Nobody's being flippant about that at all, but there's an opportunity to grow. That's the silver lining. You have to look for ways to provide solutions that people need in the moment. And don't forget to establish the rapport. This is not a transactional sales, see you later. This is, hey, this is my opportunity. You're looking at these shields right now. I have a restaurant that I'm actually going to deliver these shields to today as soon as this call's over. And I'm delivering them in person, even though it's kind of old school and I could have, just shipped it to them. But I want to build that relationship. So here's a real world example. Somebody asking the questions, how are you building these relationships? This is how. I went and talked to the owner in person. He ordered it himself, and I'm going to deliver it to him in person. These are safety shields, by the way. They're made of acrylic. They have a slot underneath. They self-stand. We use our CNC routers to bust these things out. And we have flatbed direct print capability. So we didn't do that on this one, but some of our clients are actually having us print their logos and stuff on the shields.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Customized size, build to order.
Yeah, beautiful. Bill Duerr, how about you? Any thoughts on this this area?
Man, I love Ira's passion. Yeah, I mean, similar. We're probably at about 60% of our traditional services. We do digital. We've got HP Indigos in-house. Offset, we've got Heidelbergs. On the large format side, we're an EFI ViewTech shop, and it's kind of week to week. Luckily, we've got a really diverse customer base, really diverse service offering. The PPE and the social distancing graphics and the partitions and shields has definitely been a shot in the arm and made up for some of the revenue that we're not seeing from some of our other customers. Yeah. But we've seen a lot of customers, replenishing their inventory, putting it on the shelf, doing direct mail communications to, communicate with their captive audience who are all at home right now. So the traditional business is still there. It's not firing on all cylinders, but like everybody else, we're getting creative and trying to solve problems. And I think something that hasn't been mentioned directly is we've seen on the customer side, a lot of the day-to-day people that we deal with have been furloughed, and we're dealing with, a higher level person who doesn't usually get in the weeds. So it's allowed us to, be a one-stop shop to solve some big problems for people who have much bigger problems to solve, but they've got to figure out, how do we reopen safely? How do we do all these other things? All right, go to this company. They can take care of, they can check off 5 boxes for me. So that's been a good way for us to, build some new relationships at different levels of the company until our day-to-day people, get back on their feet and back into their roles. So it's been interesting.
At that point, Bill, an interesting strategy is that, you know what, when everybody comes back strong, everybody on this call, the printers, your demand's going to go through the roof for everything that everyone didn't order. And so, a strategy for some of those senior people you're working with, they don't know what the turnaround time is for a lot of these orders. So a little coaching tip, hey, might want to get hit of the power curve. We're all going to get hit with major orders here. Why don't we get your order in now so we're ahead of the power curve when it hits? What do you think?
I agree. I mean, a lot of our strategy has been, listen, there's a high demand. It changes literally minute to minute, especially on some of these acrylics and polycarbs and things. The supply chain's a little bottlenecked right now. So, hey, it's first come, first serve. We're going to do everything we can to help you, but just know that everyone else is coming and looking for this stuff at the same time. So, let's go. Let's get it done.
Amen.
All right, folks, let's take these last 2 questions. I think we've got 2 more here. Let's go rapid fire on them so we can get to the questions that everybody has. I see that some do have a hard stop here at the hour. So if you need to leave, I would love for you to stay, but we will send the recording out. Don't worry, so you can watch this portion that you're going to miss here. But to the panel, let's try to go through these remaining questions quickly so we can get to the Q&A. The question here is, do you see print volume in general coming back? And at what level? 60%, 80%, 100? So if you could, panel, let's try to go through that as quickly as possible. I'll start with you, Sheri. Where do you see us ending up?
110%.
Boom.
So,
why?
So last night, no word of a lie to you, I was looking at these slides and I said to my daughter, I was like, here's the question. And she looked at me, and she's almost 15 years old, and she's like, 110%. Because that's all we do. We shoot for above the board all the time. She's an ice hockey player, and it's always about be the next, be a level above everybody else. And for us, that's what we were pacing for this year. We set our goals before this all happened. We were pacing for 112%. That's where we would have hit above goal this year. So I met with our salespeople and I said, I'll compromise, and we're going to pull back to 110. So,
yeah, that's what I like to hear.
You guys have a couple months to build it back. You lost a little, and I'll give you a little slack on it. And you know what happened this month? May 2020, largest month in our fiscal year. Our fiscal year.
Boom. Yes.
So our year ends July 31st. So we're into Q4. We are in our biggest month of the year this year.
Get it done.
That's my message, everybody. Like, it's going to get better. I truly believe that it's about attitude. We're going to make it happen because we believe we're going to make it happen. We're going to hustle. All you guys that are, on this panel, and all the guys that are listening, you're all out there because you're going to hustle. If you hustle, I think that the number, is 110%. There
you go. What about you, Bill G?
We expect to hit plan. We're only modestly off. Part of that's mix. We're very diverse, digital, offset, wide format, but a lot of enhancements, a lot of additional treatments to sheets, and that brings us an elegant audience. But we expect to be at 80% of plan by the fall. Our year actually ends September 30th, so we expect to be I say 80% by the fall, 80% in the third quarter, and full plan, which is for growth by the end of the fiscal year.
Wonderful, love that. What about you, Ira? Where do you think you guys are going to end up?
So I don't want to brag, but
that's okay. Go ahead.
I think we're going to kill it. I think, okay, so here's the deal, right? So there's a whole business for what we have set up to do, right? We are established in the reprographics world, and we're number one in that field, every market. We kill that, right? But because construction in a lot of ways slowed down, and it forced us to reach out to other industries and make all these new relationships, we don't anticipate that those relationships are going to disperse, and we're no longer going to get orders from those people moving forward. We think we're going to keep that business, a large chunk of it. It's going to be new. And we believe 100% of what we were doing before is coming back. Sounds like somebody's having fun with
Yeah,
me.
whose kid's on the line?
I don't know, but it's not mine. So here's what I'm saying. We have added a lot of new customers in this COVID-19 period. And as everybody comes back to the office, let's not say return to work, let's say return to the office, right? As they return and open back up their locations, we expect everything that we were doing before pretty much to come back. So why not? I think 110% is shooting too low. I'm going to be honest. And my quota is based on what I think is going to happen. So nobody likes a higher quota. But I tell you what, I think it's going to be something more like 133%, 150%, because of the new relationships, the new business that's been established.
Awesome. Bill Duerr, did I get you yet? I can't remember.
No.
Okay,
And,
go ahead, sir.
I love everybody's optimism. I mean, I've got to be that optimistic. I'm the owner of the company. So if I'm gloom and doom, we don't stand a chance. So I've got to keep a positive mind frame on that. I'm psyched for everybody else with their projections. So yeah, I'm going to, we're trying to achieve our goals this year, stay around 100%. And if we can hit some of the numbers everybody else is talking to, that'd be great. So
awesome. Cool. Well, here's what I want to do, folks. I made the executive decision here. Let's go into the Q&A because I want to be respectful of your time, panel, as well as all of the folks here in the audience. A couple of things. Jessica, if you could, as you get those questions ready, everybody, Jess, if you could get into the chat again once more, the link to the COVID-19 print group. I saw some people asking for that. And again, the reason why we've got that there is because we want to give you the ability to continue this conversation with these energetic, optimistic thought leaders here. And that's where we're centralizing this conversation for you. So Jess, thank you for pasting that in, folks. Apply for access. We'll get you signed up very quickly. Also, in the event that somebody does have to leave, but you want to follow up with one of these incredible panelists here today, they've put their contact information here on the screen. We've got Sheri, Ira, Bill, both Bills, as well as me and Joe there on the screen. So we'll send this out to you, but if you want, jot that down. Grab their cell phone, grab their email, please follow up with them. Let them know that you heard them here and that you're excited to speak to them. So what I want to do now is take some questions. There's just so many here. So we're going to have to handpick a few. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Here's an interesting one for the group panelists that we have there. You guys have been awesome today. Thank you so much. John Launcey asked, relevance today is on Medicare and food and not prints. Spike in two verticals, medical and agricultural, farming, etc. Spike in AI and robotic solution. How's the print industry adapting into this new, unusual normal? So from his perspective, these are some areas of opportunity. Are any of you, dabbling in AI, robotic solutions right now, or medical or agriculture verticals?
We are not.
So we are working with the medical field. Obviously, they needed signage right away, right? And they continue to need signage. Another thing that's unique with their 3D printing capabilities is we were able to produce 3D printed N95 masks, the permanent type where you change out the filters. And so some medical staff have ordered that. We've got the face shields and we've got the safety sneeze guard shields. So I don't know of anybody that's working in the agricultural. I don't know what opportunities are there, but it's not for us. I don't think in the AI, we're not automating our processes. If that what they're asking, we're still using.
Ira, here's an opportunity for you. It says someone says you look great in a tie and suit. I don't see that very often much today. So just a little tip from the audience there for you.
I wear a suit and tie, just for the record, 3 times a week.
There you go. There you go. He looks sharp all the time.
I'm still old school.
I got a question here from David. A great name, great solid name, of course. He wants to know from y'all, what 3D printers are any of you using if you're doing 3D print? So raise your hand, folks. Anybody doing 3D print? All right, Sheri, go ahead, and then we'll hit Ira.
Sure, we run a Modix. So it's a 2-foot by 2-foot Modix. That's the one that we run right now. We run it primarily for mold making. So we run it for mold making for our back form.
Okay. All right. And what about you, Ira?
So I believe we're using HP products, but I'm not 100% sure on that one, actually.
Interesting.
That's the thing with 170 shops. Not every shop has exactly the same equipment because we're not franchised. We're all owned by ARC. So, you know, we might have one machine and it covers a certain portion of the country. And I have not seen that yet. So.
Got it. Joe, have you been rifling through? Let's pick some of the good ones here.
Here's one good simple question here. Is anyone servicing hotels and hospitality? What value can we add to these clients and the industry and its reopening? So from my point of view, your panelists today have showed you some great value add solutions. Guys, you guys want to jump on that one and add to it? Anyone?
I'm going to add something to that one, if that's okay.
Yeah, please.
So I think one of the things that, you know, from the services side, and I don't know if people are always thinking about this, is, you know, don't just go say that we make prints, show them prints that are specific to why it's safe to be in that hotel and what that hotel is doing. So one of the things that, you know, we service a certain area, you know, different industries. And what we did is we made very specific slicks for those people, and the artwork doesn't just say stay this far apart, and it doesn't just say this or this. It's very specific to that particular industry, to that particular client. So when you send them the inspiration stuff, make sure it says like, hey, if you're staying in the hotel, here's how often we're washing the bedding, here's the bleach that we're using. Make sure the customer sees that, because then they're going to feel safer to come into the hotel. That would kind of be my advice.
Yeah. Anyone else? Bill D, Ira, thoughts on that?
We do business with hospitality. It's been hard. It's certainly been an area that is not as active as we'd like it to be right now. I agree with the comments we just heard. Those are excellent suggestions.
Okay, great.
We have a print shop in Las Vegas right off the strip. It's on Dean Martin, and you can see the whole strip basically from the office. And hospitality is why that shop is there. You know, COVID-19 or not, for a large format graphics production facility like ARC is, you know, ARC, that's what we do at ARC. You know, we can wrap the side of the building, we can do the fences, we do inside the stores. I mean, any surface, top to bottom, inside and out. And so hospitality is something, but you know, what you need to do with hospitality is understand how it works. So if you're talking about hotel chains, or you're talking about motel, or if you're talking about restaurants, you know, there's so many different segments inside that. You need to understand what the players do and what their responsibilities are, so that when you're presenting a solution, you're actually talking to the person in charge of that. Like FFE, for example, is something a lot of people, it's an acronym a lot of people aren't familiar with, but it's furnitures, fixtures, and equipment. And those are the people that you want to talk to for inside the room. Like if you do canvas prints and you want to put a canvas print inside every hotel room, you need to talk to the person in charge of FFE. If you're talking to the general manager, they may be like, that's not what I do. Or, you know, if you're talking to a restaurant person who isn't in charge of marketing, but you're talking about a marketing slick solution, you're wasting your breath. It's kind of like Sheri's example earlier, where the print rep came in to sell her print equipment and didn't even cover the one thing that she was interested in.
Right.
You wasted your hour. So do your homework first, guys. That's what you really need to do, so that when you get in front of that person, that 30-second introduction is on point.
Bill D, did you have something you wanted to add there?
I mean, I think just kind of in line with Ira, I've found myself in some uncomfortable conversations lately, because I'm trying to just meet new people, drum up new business. If I haven't had the chance to do my homework and all of a sudden I'm in a conversation, I make sure I shut up and I ask good questions and I create the context first. So then I know, you know, I can think on my feet, I have common sense. I can hear what I hear and apply what I know to what that specific person needs. So, and then what we're trying to do is meet with new people we haven't met with before, help them solve a specific problem, and then scale that across more similar people, similar businesses.
So men and women, if you're still here with us, you've got an incredible panel. Ask your question. Don't be shy. If we missed it earlier, there were just so many that came in during the session. Drop those into the chat. We're going to try to get as many as we can right now within a reasonable amount of time. A couple things that I wanted to highlight that really stood out to me that I've seen panel that I think you might be interested in seeing, kind of some of the feedback that I've heard. One is that this idea, Bill G, that you raised around write like we talk really seemed to resonate with people. So I want to thank you for that. That was something that a lot of people, I think, are taking as a, you know, an insight that they're going to apply to their business. For you, Ira, the fact that you're doing in-person meetings, in-person deliveries, I could see there was some surprise at that. That's just not what people expected you to say.
Counterintuitive, right?
It's counterintuitive, absolutely.
But I'll tell you what, the advantage there, look, you always want to look for where you can have your advantage. Your competition.
Pattern interrupt, yep.
Yeah, so the thing is, not everybody expects it, but the owners, the managers, they're the ones that are there, I'm finding. So the people that you normally are three layers behind the receptionist, the gatekeeper, if you will, that you don't have access to, you have the opportunity to catch their attention and meet them
Absolutely.
in person. So.
Huge takeaway. Sheri, for you, the fact that May was your biggest year to date, right? In terms of revenue and sales, that's just an optimistic, encouraging stat that I think gives everyone hope that, it can be done, even though things are difficult. And then Bill Duerr, the fact that, and I didn't exactly get your quote, but that you're leading with optimism there at the head of your organization. You need to embody this positivity so that the team feels that there are better days ahead. That's something that I think as leaders, we're certainly called to do, but also even if you think you're not in a position of leadership, I assure you that people are watching you, people are looking to you, and it's going to take us working together, being optimistic about the future to make it through this time and to not only, survive, but also come out the other end and thrive. So I want to take just a few more moments, see if there's any other burning questions, Joe, that you found. Yeah, go ahead.
And maybe the panelists have some experience with this. Dorinda Givens, thanks for the question. Dorinda asked, I specialize in recruiting globally across the industry. Has anyone recruited over the last few months, and how have you onboarded these people? So
Interesting.
Have any of you added anyone? That'd be, not the norm, but has anyone done anything with onboarding, finding, recruiting any key people over the last several months, and how'd you do it?
We did. Yep, we have.
Fire away.
So, and when I said there's going to be winners and losers, it's unfortunate, but it's the reality. And the same thing sort of is going to happen out in the world with great talent. There is going to be so much great talent available right now, and it was not purposeful, but someone who I had basically been connected to on LinkedIn sent me a note. They were not furloughed, they were laid off, and it was somebody that I thought was brilliant. And they were like, hey, do you know anybody who's looking for anyone? And I was like, no, I just don't know anyone. And then a day went by and I was like, this is crazy. We have to hire this guy because he's a genius. Like we had furloughed 80% of our employees that week. And I went to our CEO and I was like, we have to hire this guy. And he's like, you want to hire someone right now? And I was like, absolutely, 100%. It's a smart decision. And that's what we should do. So, if you're talking about recruiting and looking at people, I think that anyone who is running a business right now, who is looking for great talent, isn't going to care about anything other than, can I scoop those people up right now while I can get them? So if you're promoting it and you're a recruiter, I have to tell you, I have so many recruiters calling me. Here's how you stand out. Send me the stat. Send me what makes that person special. Don't send me their picture. Don't send me their resume. Send me 3 bullet points of why that person is awesome and why you think they would match my organization. It gets back to that same thing. The more account-based you can be, the more specific you can be, the better I think you're going to be able to get to people. And I think people are going to make those connections. People are going to be hiring. You have to.
Good. Anyone else to add on that? No? All right. We've got another question that you all might have an opinion on. How have your material suppliers and manufacturers been educating you all with new products and ones relevant to COVID-19? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I want to talk about that in a little bit different way. We've had trouble getting some materials, right? So our production team has been amazing at figuring out alternative solutions so that we don't have to delay orders. Because, obviously when people place that submit order button on our website, right? They go to e-arc.com, they fill out their order and they hit submit. They want it like right now. They don't want to hear that it's going to take a week, or I'm sorry, but that material made in China is going to be, here in 3 weeks. They want it now. So having some flexibility is helpful. So meeting with the manufacturer reps and getting more products that we don't necessarily normally carry has been helpful. But I just want to give kudos not so much to the manufacturers as to our internal team for being up to the task of pivoting when, it's so easy to go, well, we all know what the 3M products do and what they're designed for, and that's not made for that. But you know what? In a pinch, it's going to work, and we're using it, right? So there's flexibility there.
I'd like to give a shout out to GPA, Joe. I know that GPA, many of you know GPA has done a fantastic job, I think, doing that in leading the industry, providing solutions, use cases, interesting insights. I know that we're doing a webinar similar to this with them in what, a week or 2 weeks coming up here?
Yeah, June 18th.
June 18th. Okay. Yeah. So I have seen some, but I know that it has been difficult, like you said, Ira, for many to get some of the supplies they need. So appreciate that question. Let's see, Joe, let's try to take another minute or two to see if any other burning questions can be answered by the panel. But in the meantime, as we do that, I want to go down the line here and give them each an opportunity to just give us some closing words. I didn't ask them to prepare this, so this is going to be from the heart, off the cuff. We're going to go in the order here on the screen. So Sheri, in about 20 seconds to 30 seconds, give us your final words here of inspiration and encouragement to the audience here.
Sure. I mean, I stand by what I said. Better things are coming, and it's all about attitude. Just stay positive, keep up what you're doing, and connect with people. You know, I got a bunch of connections here. If anybody wants to reach out to me, whether it's to talk about bourbon, whether it's to talk about printing, whatever you want, you know, like, you never know what's going to happen. So feel free to connect. I'm happy to help any way I can.
Thank you, Sheri. You've been a pleasure to have. Your energy is contagious, and I think the audience definitely got a lot of value out of everything that you said. Next on the line here is Ira. So Ira, closing words and wisdom for the audience here.
Yeah, a couple things. Build relationships. If you, in the absence of being able to see people face to face, then you need to be active, proactive with your emails. Get your pictures on there. Every email I send has my face, and I'm not a handsome person. You don't have to be a celebrity. You don't have to be pretty. Just let them know what you look like. I think that's one of the reasons why LinkedIn works so well, is because when you walk in, they see you. Like I tell people all the time, if you want to go network with somebody, when you walk in the room, people already know what I look like. You know what I mean? There's a familiarity there. And so focus on solutions, look for innovative ways to stay at the leading edge. So again, what space are your competitors not that you can move into? The in-person deliveries, the cold calls in person right now. Normally that's, you know, an overwhelming thing, but right now it's not. So just look for ways that you can be different in a good way.
Yeah, so Ira, I just want to commend you on that, and folks that are still here. One of the reasons why I picked these four incredible people is because they all have a different point of view. They all bring a different set of experiences to the table. And Ira, clearly for you, embedding your face, embedding your whole body, in most cases, you've got, you know, a full-size thing of you, is working for you. And I know when some people see that, they're like, what the heck's going on with this? What's this all about?
Yeah,
Sheri, why are you laughing over there, girl?
It's branding. It's all about branding for me. So there's two things I want you to, well, there's three things I want you to know. I work for ARC. My name is Ira, and I'm in the print business.
And I'm a good looking guy.
Every time you see me, I want you to think printing. I want you to think printing for ARC. That's what I want you to think.
There you go. Sheri, did you want to add something there?
I might have a different suit you want to wear that looks a little more print. I'm going to send it to you after this, Ira.
Uh-oh. All right, cool. He'll put it on. All right, let's go down the line here to Bill Gillespie. Bill, thank you for your time. I could tell that people definitely resonated with your point of view. Some wise words for us.
Be personal, be creative, be sincere. It's new for everybody, so you're not going to make a mistake. Just ask questions, be personal, be creative.
Fantastic.
They'll see it and they'll like it.
Beautiful. And last but certainly not least, Bill Duerr, would love to hear from you. What would your words of encouragement and hope be for this audience as we continue to navigate this time of crisis?
Well, I mean, I think you got to take it one day at a time, and it's not easy. There's no getting around that. So I think just being, you know, passionate about what you do, like everybody on this panel clearly is, being yourself, casting a broad net and connecting with a lot of people, and taking some risks, you know, be comfortable being uncomfortable. And that's how you're going to learn. That's how you're going to evolve. That's how you're going to get better. And just know, you know, some days are going to be tough, and some days are going to be, you're going to have a lot of good things to celebrate. And there's a great community of people out there in our industry going through the same thing. And I think we all just got to let our guard down right now and work with each other to kind of shape the market and really, you know, revive our industry to where it needs to be. So that's my advice.
Well said. Let's continue the conversation, folks, here in the print group. But I want to give Joe an opportunity, having been in the industry for quite some time as well, seeing a lot of transformation. Joe, give us your words as we wrap this up today in terms of the encouragement and the hope that you want to give people coming out of today.
Yeah, I'm in 10 meetings a day on average with customers around the globe, and I can only tell you that I truly believe that we are at a period of time that has some of the greatest opportunity in the history of our industry. And the men and women who go out, like all of our awesome panelists discussed today, go out in search of providing solutions, solving problems with their customers, that innovation factor, that uniqueness factor, becoming a critical resource, two of my favorite words, become a critical resource to your customers. They're going to have an unbelievable next 12 to 18 months. You can bank on that. So very exciting time. And again, educate for free. Those are my—
There you go. Love that, Joe. Thank you. And Jess, if you're still here, I know we've gone over our time. Please drop again the COVID-19 print group as well as my LinkedIn profile. I want to connect with everybody because as Joe said, our goal is to provide as much value to you as possible. We love the print community and graphic arts has been a big part of our business for many years. Thank you everyone for sticking around past our allotted time. We appreciate it. I know that some of you had to leave early, so we'll get the recording out to you as well as those who are no longer here in the meeting with us. But my final words are to stay strong, rely on the inspiration and the creativity and the ideas that folks like the four that you have here, as well as those in the print group that we've created for you. Draw inspiration from them, keep your heads up, and we will get through this, folks, together. With that, have a wonderful day. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks panel. Love you guys. Bye-bye. Have a good one.